Time right now is 10:09 here on Live Impact News. We have a special guest this morning because this man has spent 50 years building a career around the power of the arts, and more than 20 of those right here in Charlotte. Tom Gabbard, president and CEO of Blumenthal Arts, has announced he is retiring by the end of 2027. He joins us now here in the Live Impact studio. Tom, pleasure having you here in the podcast studio.
Great to be here.
All right, so let's walk through this decision. Why is now the time to step back?
You know, I've been lucky to be at Blumenthal now 23 years, starting 24 years, which is a long time in a CEO job. And so I'm at that point where I felt, frankly, it was right for Blumenthal, but also right for me to move into a next chapter, but to do it thoughtfully, to do it smartly. And so we've begun a process to find a successor for me, but I'm going to, in the future, really focus on my producing and consulting, which is something I've done for a lot of years, and now I'll be able to do it solely.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, you're not really fully stepping away here. And what does that chapter then look like day to day?
You know, for years, I've woven together producing on Broadway, off-Broadway, international programs, and so now I think I'll have a chance to focus on that singularly. Hopefully, some of these things will continue to benefit Blumenthal. That's been part of our secret sauce here, is that we've been able to be producers and initiators with partners all around the world, and I'm hopeful that will continue. Vicki and I are continuing to live in Charlotte. I just started work on a new deck in my backyard,
okay.
so we have to stay in Charlotte.
Yeah. How much did Charlotte, the city, this being your home, factor into your decision and deciding to stay?
Oh, well, we love Charlotte, and we've lived a lot of different places, and we have made a decision to continue to make Charlotte our home. And, you know, and as part of what kept me in this role for 23 plus years is the vibrancy of this city, the dynamism. It's something that has made us feel very welcome, but also wanting to continue to be a part of this community.
Yeah. So go ahead and take us back then when you first moved here in 2003 then? What was the art scene in Charlotte then, and how has it changed?
It definitely was a different city then, and you know, I think fortunately people are outgrowing a perception that we're this buttoned-down banker town. Some of that's still here, but I would say that perhaps dominated back then, and the arts were much more conservatively treated. Now, over time, we've seen this abundant curiosity and interest in the arts, interest in creativity, interest in discovering new things that I would say particularly the last 12 years or so has really exploded. And that's, frankly, fed my soul and my happiness to be in Charlotte.
Well, you've got to take some credit to that, bring that energy and that attention to the Queen City, more than just a banking town.
I'm really proud that, you know, that Blumenthal has always tried to reach out and expand its family. You know, we have this beloved brand built on bringing the best of Broadway to Charlotte. That continues to be the case. But then we've reached out further and further, everything from hip hop to international festivals, and of course our Blumie Awards with young people. And each of those steps has helped us to grow our connection to the community.
I mean, speaking of the Blumie Awards and some homegrown kids, to see them out in the working world of the arts, that's got to make you feel good too.
It does, and you know, and I think it's a good example for us to keep in mind broadly. You know, the genesis of that was I went to the very first National High School Musical Theater Awards, which is called the Jimmies, and I realized that our students in Charlotte could not compete because we didn't have a regional feeder for them to qualify. So we began the Blumie Awards, and wow, have our kids really taken advantage of that. And I think, to me, it's a great object lesson that when we invest in our kids and we create a pathway that gives them a shot, gives them a chance, that they will really succeed.
really one of those marquee events too for the Blumenthal brand. Got the Charlotte Jazz Festival, Charlotte Shout, of course, and then we can't forget during COVID, we're just looking at some B-roll of the Van Gogh exhibit to Camp North End. Talk to us about bringing that here and the timing of it all. Did you expect the impact it was going to make?
We had no idea that it would end up being, in that era, actually the largest of these immersive digital art shows in North America. And I stumbled into it, frankly, in my daily search. I never worked harder than I did in COVID. I said I worked harder, enjoyed it less than ever, but I was in search of a way to get our people back to work. We had over 200 people who were out of work. And so coming up with this immersive digital show from Europe and bringing it here, and seeing that there was a way for us to do it in the Ford building where we had expansive space. We could had the idea to project circles on the floor that created social distancing. And so we put that together actually in 4.5 months, which is quite extraordinary,
wow. Yeah.
particularly since the content was coming from Europe. And it was all about getting people back to work. At the end of the day, 300,000 plus people came to see that show in 6 months, and it really demonstrated to us that we were onto something.
Did you feel that was taking a risk?
Oh, it was a huge risk.
Yeah.
You know, we had been burning through about $850,000 a month during COVID, during the shutdown. And so, to the credit of our board, you know, I said, look, I've got a Canadian partner who will split this with us. It's going to be about $3.5 million risk. But I think there's a moment. I think there's just hunger to get back and get active, but within very, defined limits. I think we can do this. And yeah, it was just such a sweet success.
Yeah, and another one of those turning points. How did that change the trajectory in these recent years then of Blumenthal?
It, beyond the huge numbers that came, 78% of those people had never bought a ticket from Blumenthal. And we have this really expansive database, not just from the shows that we do, but our resident groups. We've done ticketing for places like Theater Charlotte, the Visualite. So we have this huge database, and yet 78% had never bought a ticket from us before. And so that was a very clear sign that if we continued on exploring some new and different things, we could further enlarge the Blumenthal family.
Yeah, speaking of new and exciting, the Iron District is such a cool space, and you've had, what is happening right now? Over there in the Bloom studio?
We're just finishing up a VR experience. We're calling the space Bloom Studios VR. We're playing a show that came from Australia. I saw it last year in Edinburgh called In Poor Taste. And then we're getting ready for a full slate in the fall. We'll be having the world premiere of Clue, Murder on the Menu.
Oh, wow. So what, Clue, like the game?
Right, Clue the game,
okay.
and it's a very high-quality dinner experience. Last year we brought to North America a show called The Magician's Table that was playing in London. I saw it there and helped them come to North America. The same producing team that did that glorious show has now created this new show, Clue, Murder on the Menu, and it'll have its world premiere at Bloom Studios.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this takes the arts as we know it into a different space. It's for the modern world now, isn't it?
I think that there are a lot of people that are looking for much more active experiences. We love our traditional theaters, but there are some people that don't want to sit in a seat for 2 hours. There are a lot of people that want to have some agency over the experience. They want to touch things. They definitely want to talk with other people. Part of what Bloom Studios is about is to create this community experience, and actually community is part of our mantra out there. And so to have these experiences where you are sitting next to other people, eating, having a drink, having conversation with people who you haven't met before, that's also, I think, something that the public is hungering for these days.
So you are a Tony Awards voter. Been that way since the 90s with lifetime status. And so with that vantage point and that position, how does that shape the way you look and whatever you have brought to Charlotte as an artist, as a producer?
You know, and even before going to see the show on Broadway, because I organize investment in these shows, I frequently get a chance to hear even sometimes the very first readings of these shows. So I'm in the room when the script is first read with a group of actors, and so it gives us an opportunity to track what's coming ahead, and to then rally interest in that show among our colleagues. Tonight we're opening & Juliet. I saw that in London and began talking to my colleagues in North America to say, we need to bring this show from London over here. So it has made a difference for us. You know, people point out, they say, Charlotte, as the saying goes, punches above its weight class, something like that. And that's a part of it, because we have been active in New York, but also touting the great things that will happen when people come to Charlotte.
Yeah, it's really an amazing scene here in Charlotte, people that are discovering it, and that's hopefully going to continue. And so what does a smooth transition look like for the Blumenthal board?
Well, it starts with the process that I'll be involved with of finding my successor. And so we decided to be public about my plans so that a search committee could be formed, and without any worries about confidentiality and all of that, we could get started on finding a successor. Our brand is really strong nationally and internationally. We've got a great team in place. So I'm very optimistic that given a little bit of time, given some hard work, and given probably hiring a search firm to help us, that we'll find a really terrific successor.
All right, and then whoever steps into that next role, any piece of advice that you want to pass on?
You know, continue to think big. That's been a part of our success at Blumenthal, but also I think it's woven into Charlotte, that this is a city that thinks big, it thinks smart, and I'm hopeful that my successor will continue that.
All right, definitely part of your legacy, Charlotte. Blumenthal, kind of synonymous. What do you think your legacy is?
Boy, hopefully, people can look back at all these different things we've done and say that Tom has helped to leave the community stronger than he found it. That's been a driving force for me, is to make the arts improve lives, make communities stronger, and hopefully as they look back on some of these things that I've had a role in, that they'll see that we've accomplished that.
I think they will, very much so. Tom Gabbard, CEO and President of Blumenthal, he's still with us until the end of 2027, and then he's still going to be working anyway, and putting his footprint and handprint all over the art scene here in Charlotte. Appreciate your time, Tom. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.